school board meeting is called to order at 5 o'clock in the boardroom of the Learning Resource Center. Can you please determine a quorum?
Buckles.
Here.
Eisenberg.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Morey.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Walt.
Here.
And Weaver.
Here.
Quorum is present at 5 o'clock.
Okay. A motion for the agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So there are no audience communications today, so we will move on from there to some special recognitions. Carla, I believe.
All right, well, I have the honor tonight to congratulate our 2020 and 2021 Lions Award recipients. We are doing 2020 because we had this little thing called a pandemic going on. So they really didn't get as much recognition as we'd have liked to see with them. So we are going to honor everyone. So I will start with our first. Our first one is from 2020, Lisa Mooney. She was awarded the Living Legend Award for Excellence in Leadership. At the time of her nomination, she was a student assistance counselor at Linn-Mar High School. Over the course of her career with Linn-Mar, thousands of students, staff, and community members have been the recipient of the passion, kindness, and experience she provides on a daily basis. She implemented many programs to support students in need. Her dedication to the students and community has made an outstanding impact. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our 2020 Innovator Award for Erin Watts. Hi, Erin. At the time of her nomination, she was the Teacher Leader Program Coordinator. She worked diligently to put together professional development that helped our instructional, technology, and mentor coaches grow. She collaborated with staff in clear and compelling ways by using and teaching effective tools to build positive work environments and opportunities to grow. Her commitment to growing our staff and intern students is greatly appreciated. Congratulations, Erin. Next up, we have our 2020 Optimizer Award for Kelly Trier. She's the autism consultant for the district. Kelly consistently demonstrates a spirit of teamwork, cooperation, and respectful treatment of others. She takes a we versus me approach and builds effective, collaborative relationships with any and every group she works with. Kelly takes the time to not only solve the problem, but to teach, coach, and celebrate others in learning to solve problems as well. You have gone above and beyond to help our district and community. Congratulations, Kelly. Next up, we have our 2020 Optimizer Award, which is Phil Miller. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
Phil is the Human Resources Manager. Phil is the go-to for questions regarding anything and everything. If he does not have the answer, he commits to finding the answer and following through. He is easy to understand and works diligently to maintain respect, confidentiality, and sensitivity to those coming to him with these requests, no matter how big or small, and does it all by taking a team-focused approach. Thank you for all that you do, Phil. Congratulations. So we did have a couple people who couldn't make it, but I did want to read off some words about them. So our 2020 Newcomer Award was Katie Smith. She was the Family Resource Specialist at the time of the nomination. She provided support and connections for families to the community. In her first year, she worked with over 90 families, connecting them to community resources. Katie took a new position to the district and helped it grow into a position that is essential for our staff, students, families, and district. Thank you for all you did, Katie. Congratulations. Our next 2020 winner was our Service Award, and Michael Brandt. He is also not here this evening. Michael is the art teacher at Westfield Elementary. He's made his mark on the entire district. He's designed many of the Linn-Mar Lion logos, the safety penguins, and replica wooden heads of the first set of staff and students at Westfield Elementary in the building's first year. He has developed art curriculum, hosts the annual Westfield Art Show, and is the leader of Westfield's anti-bullying program. Thank you for everything you do to empower our students and staff every day. Congratulations, Michael. The next winner was a 2020 Lion Pride Award, Donna Bean. She also could not make it tonight. Donna retired from teaching in 1996, but has continued as a substitute teacher and volunteer. Donna goes above and beyond in helping wherever and whenever she is needed. She helps read with students, practice math facts, edit stories, and helps with enrichment. She is patient and offers feedback that helps them grow, which encourages the students to feel pride in their work. For those reasons and more, Donna is an incredibly deserving recipient of the Lion Pride Award. Congratulations, Donna. Next up is not an award, but our next award is our Shirley Pantini Award, and it is in memory of Shirley Pantini. So I'd like to say a few words about her. She unfortunately passed away this year. She worked for Linn-Mar High School from 1978 to 1990 as a history and government teacher, then was the curriculum coordinator and equity coordinator before retiring in 2000. Shirley had many connections in the community, serving on many committees. She made a tremendous impact on staff, students, and the community. In tributes, many noted her positive attitude and her willingness to help. She was held in high regard for her intelligence, grace, wisdom, humor, generosity, and courage. She will be greatly missed. So the 2020 winner of the Shirley Pantini Award is Christy Hicks. Christy, the Associate Director of Student Services, she recognizes the inequities that groups face daily and works tirelessly to ensure our students feel safe, secure, and cared for through our district. Through restructuring the at-risk coordinators' roles, the Snow Day Food Assistance Program, and Suicide Prevention Task Force, she has worked hard to evaluate where she can help build equities for our students and works diligently to make that happen. Our district is better thanks to Christy. Congratulations, Christy. Now we're on to 2021. So our first award recipient is Sue Atwater. She was nominated for Living Legend Award for Excellence in Leadership. Sue is the Compass Science teacher. She's held a few roles through the years: a science teacher, instructional mentor coach, and most recently, the Compass Science teacher. She has collaborated with others to write science curriculum, assisted in developing the Teacher Leader Mentor program, planned and implemented relevant professional development, promoted PLC processes, volunteered for wrestling as a parent, and so much more. Over the course of her career, she's positively influenced hundreds of students and has motivated teachers through her kindness, dedication, passion, and hard work. Congratulations, Sue. All right. Next is our 2021 Innovator Award, Travis Axine. Travis is the Oak Ridge principal. As an administrator, he has made it his goal to ensure his staff and students are listened to and advocated for. He has gone above and beyond in his mission to create positive change at Oak Ridge. Travis remains transparent with staff about challenges, listens to feedback, explains the direction things are moving, and leads by example. The entire Oak Ridge staff agrees Travis has improved their school culture through these meaningful gestures. Your commitment to engaging and supporting our staff and students is greatly appreciated. Congratulations, Travis. All right, our next award for 2021 is our Optimizer Award, and the winner is Victoria Wanda. She is a counselor at Oak Ridge. Her positive impact is felt by staff and students alike. She creates a safe and collaborative environment where she can help teachers and students recognize their own strengths. She exemplifies the concepts of teamwork, collaboration, positivity, and integrity, and the central question, how can I best support you? She genuinely listens to the answer, works in a partnership with the person or group to process the situation, develop long-term solutions, and be an ongoing resource. Thank you for going above and beyond daily, Victoria. Congratulations. Okay, our next award winner is for Service Award for 2021, Peg Hansen, and she unfortunately cannot be here tonight. Peg is a retired athletics secretary at Linn-Mar High School. Her integrity, good nature, thoroughness, and timeliness of schedules, changes, communications, and rosters was highly regarded by the athletes, coaches, and parents. She took great pride in her work, and it showed. Peg's work also went beyond the athletic department. She also spent time serving as a mentor to at-risk students. Her passion and dedication to all students is a strong attribute that the district is fortunate to have. Congratulations, Peg. Next up is our 2021 Another Service Award for Sandra Nelson. Sandra is a school board president. Her time as board president has been filled with exciting developments, assisting in the search for a new and now current superintendent, assisting in passing the bond referendum, which allowed for the construction of new schools, and helping to lead the district through a once-in-a-100-year pandemic. As president, her outstanding organizational skills and the desire to promote positive outcomes assist her in the board meetings. She strives to build a collaborative climate between students, staff, parents, and the community. Sandra, your dedication to our students and community has made an outstanding impact. Congratulations. Okay, so next is a 2021 Lion Pride Award, and Vince Kloppenstein. He is not here tonight as well. He is a high school athletic trainer. He comes in every day to provide his passion and commitment to our students. Vince goes above and beyond daily expectations, and with that has made a significant positive impact. He provides top-level support and resources to our student athletes. Vince has the ability to connect with all the athletes, making them feel special and part of the group, regardless of abilities. Vince, your compassion and commitment to our students and district is very appreciated. You're an incredibly deserving of the Lion Pride Award. Congratulations, Vince. Next up is our 2021 Above and Beyond Volunteer Award for Ro Delaney. She brings an incredible amount of positive energy and enthusiasm to the volunteers and their work. Ro was the Bowman Woods Volunteer Coordinator last year and onboarded 56 new volunteers and encouraged them to get involved. Using her knowledge of people, she makes the best possible placements, providing a superior experience for both the volunteer and staff. She led Bowman Woods to become a leading K-5 school in the 2019-2020 school year. Ro is always working to bring out the very best in our students and staff. Congratulations. Our last award for tonight is our Newcomer Volunteer Award, which is Carrie Ross. She has volunteered more than 750 hours in just 4 school years. Carrie's leadership engaged Linn-Mar volunteers to support their school during COVID. She led the Bowman Woods volunteers to donate more than 1,200 volunteer hours. She developed and communicated a zero-contact procedure for passing materials to ensure a safe and successful volunteer opportunity. More than 1,350 masks were made by the volunteers under her direction. Her communication, coordination, and development during COVID have provided Bowman Woods with superior support this school year. Congratulations. Okay, so those are all of our award recipients. Please make sure you mark May 4th for our Lions Award reception. We'll have a little bit longer description of all of our winners. It's at 5 o'clock for the 2021 winners and at 6:30 for the 2020 winners. So be sure to mark your calendars. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Okay, moving on. The agenda next is a proclamation of Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas Linn-Mar teachers play a critical role in educating and shaping our students who are the future leaders of our country, and whereas Linn-Mar teachers are patient, hardworking, dedicated, and educated professionals that mold our students' lives in a positive direction. And whereas throughout this unique school year, due to the duratio, COVID, and all the additional duties and stressors that resulted, our Linn-Mar teachers went above and beyond to ensure the continued education of our students. Therefore, I, Sandra Nelson, serving as president of the Linn-Mar Board of Education, do hereby proclaim May 3rd through 7th, 2021 as Teacher Appreciation Week. And I urge this week to be observed by taking the time to recognize and acknowledge the lifelong impact Linn-Mar teachers have every day on the lives of our students. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Shannon.
Yeah, May is also the time we recognize our school board members for your dedication and commitment as well to our school district and all of our schools as well. So I have a proclamation I'd like to read tonight to recognize our board members. Whereas the Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Directors derives its legal status from the Constitution of the State of Iowa and the statutes enacted by the General Assembly, and therefore serves as an agent of the state in developing educational programs in accordance with the Constitution and laws of Iowa. And whereas the members of the Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Directors are volunteer citizen leaders who play a crucial role in ensuring our students receive the best education possible as they set district policy, provide general direction for the district, lead by example, and work together to inspire learning, unlock potential, and empower achievement for the entire district. And whereas the Iowa Association of School Boards has designated the month of May as School Board Recognition Month in recognition of the dedicated service of all Iowa school board members. Therefore, as a way of showing our appreciation, I ask that you please join me in a round of applause for the dedication, guidance, and service the Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Directors provides to the district, our students, our staff, and the community. Please join me in a round of applause. Like Sandra said, with the teachers' recognition, this has obviously been a different year in so many ways, and board members have clearly not been exempt for that. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your leadership and dedication this year. To support that as well, before you leave tonight, please don't forget we have goodie bags and certificates in the back for each of you. They were too big to put on your desk and table and probably too tempting for a couple of things that are in there, so please help yourself to that on your way out today. We would also like to do a quick board photo. We have not had a chance for the whole group to be together very much in the last year or so that would be a good time to get a photo to commemorate the board and also for us to use to help recognize you during the month of May. So with that, Mr. Fry, I think, wants us over in our usual photo spot behind Tim for a quick photo of the group.
I don't believe this was in the memo. You're supposed to tell me when we're going to do photographs.
Yeah, you told me that once, didn't you?
Yes.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's certainly nice to know.
Yeah, I might need to, but this is my good side.
Could have smiled, maybe not.
You should be in that photo.
JT does do not do that.
What did he say?
I'm not on the
He's
board.
not on the
Stop
board,
sending
stop
me
sending
emails.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you're there no matter what. Too bad.
If you'd like to put that,
We'll give him that option.
Okay, on to the next thing, which is a discussion presentation by our intermediate and middle schools. It's all yours.
Before they jump in, Eric can get ready to go. That's perfectly fine. But you've had a chance the last several months to hear from high school administration and teachers, from some elementary teams as well. We don't want to leave our middle children out because they've continued to do great work this year. I want to make sure we highlight some of the great things that are happening in each building in this very unique school year too. So Ms. Roush is going to start us off, and you'll hear a short update from each building about all the great things that are happening. So, all yours.
So good evening, and thank you. We're excited to be here. As the middle child, we do like our recognition as well. And so the one thing that's exciting kind of about the middle level, we like expanded over the last year. So this will be the first time that you'll get to hear from the 5-6 intermediate buildings, which are now part of that umbrella of middle school. And so you will hear from both intermediate buildings as well as then the 2 middle school buildings as well. And so as each building presents, I will let them introduce themselves. I'm Erica Roush, the building level, or the middle level director of teaching and learning. With that, I will let them get started.
All right, good evening. Thanks for having us again. Chad Buckles, building principal at Hazel Point.
And Dan Ludwig, building principal at Boulder Peak.
So we've spent a lot of time this fall and throughout the winter in our buildings, giving you guys tours, letting you see the space, letting you see our kids, our staff, really having an opportunity to see what we've built and what we've created in our 5-6 settings. And we're really excited over the next few weeks to bring our Hazel Point families on site to see the buildings, and then the community in June as well. And so tonight our focus is more for our student voice to come out. We've talked a lot, and so our hope is to let you see our kids and hear from our kids a little bit. Part of that is our opportunity to transition 4th grade into our buildings over the next few months, and so we've started that process. And so you'll hear a little bit of that theme kind of come out from our students as well. But we really want our voice of our students to be heard, and so this is our opportunity to let their voices be there. So.
What I like about Hazel Point is that there's amazing teachers, and there's like helpful and wonderful students, and there's an awesome principal. I hope you enjoy the school.
One thing that I like about Hazel Point is that we have more responsibility.
I like to see new friends from different elementary schools.
I like the chairs in Hazel Point. There are wobbly stools and comfort cheaters and high seats.
Something that I like about Hazel Point is that we get to have a recess on our big blacktop with all our friends.
I like that we get to walk to places all by ourselves.
Things that I like about Hazel Point are our teachers. We also get to switch classes. And we have a lot more freedom.
One thing I like about Hazel Point is that the library, and it is so big and it's fun to study up there and read.
What I like about Hazel Point is that it's bigger and you get a lot more freedom than in elementary school.
What I like about Hazel Point is the playground and all the teachers.
One thing I love about Hazel Point is that there is always new faces.
One thing that's different from elementary school and Hazel Point is that you can walk wherever you want without a teacher walking you.
One difference about Hazel Point from elementary school is you get to switch teachers.
A thing different in Hazel Point than elementary school is the school is way bigger and there's way better gym equipment.
Things that are different about elementary and intermediate school are we have much more freedom and that we don't have to walk around with teachers and be guided, and we have a lot more freedom.
Elementary school was a little bit smaller, and Hazel Point is a little bit bigger.
Hazel Point's a whole lot bigger than my elementary school.
This school is different and it's a lot more fun.
The thing that I first noticed was the big "We Are Linn-Mar" sign just down the hall over there.
I thought I liked all the crazy colors and how bright it was, and not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna get lost because of how big it was. But I really did like Boulder Peak when I first came into it.
The gym or like the classrooms, because the gym, it has like a track circling around it, and the classrooms, they're relatively big, and they have the desks, and they're pretty modern. The whole classroom is itself.
And just how like open it feels and how like welcoming it feels.
I was surprised from how much electronics I saw on the first day.
The hallways, because they do have a lot of room, because there's going to be a lot of students here because it's 4 schools mixed in. So the hallways are pretty big, so they can fit a lot of people.
I mean, I like it all, but some of my favorites are I like to hang out with my friends. It's really fun, and I also really like math.
What I really like about Boulder Peak is that we get to do orchestra and we get to do special songs.
Then there's cellos to be rented, which is nice. So instead of bringing your cello on the bus and breaking it. So
Last year, the band and orchestra room was just the gym, and this year we actually have a room, and we can keep all our instruments in there without them like putting them in and clogging up our classrooms. And it sounds way better in there because the acoustics are better in there. There wasn't ever really a drama club last year at our school, and so you kind of get to interact with more people too that you usually wouldn't. Oh, I do Battle of the Books. Battle of the Books is a competition where you have like a group, and there's over 20 teams here at Boulder Peak, and there's 15 books you have to read, and then after you read all of them, there's competitions on questions about the book.
I have enjoyed the badminton intramurals and the jail ball intramurals too.
I do four-corner soccer and sometimes floor hockey.
Can you describe those for us?
Well, hockey is just floor hockey, so you have a stick and you hit around a ball and you hit it into other teams' goals. And soccer, it's basically just 4 corners, and you're on teams and you have to try to hit it into other people's goals.
I like to do puzzles for recess.
Is there anyone you like to do puzzles with?
Josie.
I like recess and lunch a lot.
So when Chad and I were speaking about creating these buildings and what we wanted for kids, we spent a lot of time talking about opportunities. Long before the buildings were open, we had some really good plans. We didn't quite get to open the way we wanted to, so the opportunities were on hold. As of recently, we started activities, intramurals, clubs, and they're very student-driven, so it's not us creating them. It's students coming to us saying, hey, we'd like to try whatever club or activity they'd want, and they have to find the adult sponsor, and once they do, we make it happen for them. So looking forward to the future about creating more opportunities for the kids to explore and figure out what they want to do and what they like about things. It's been really fun. I know Erica said this is our first time speaking to you, and I feel like over the past couple of years we've had a lot of conversations with the board, but it is nice to hear from the kids and what they like They are beautiful buildings. Very excited to bring the community in, the families, and then the whole community in June. So very excited. Questions? Or?
I have just one question. Is the activity bus, does that run to the,
Not this year. The activity bus hopefully will be in play next year. We are working on that.
Okay.
So hopefully a couple of nights we'll both have the activity bus.
Okay.
So most of what we have going on right now is during the day, and kids are giving up recess for it, but it's their choice.
Okay.
And it's still very active.
I like the consistent theme from the students. They all said the freedom. And I like that, you know, you're playing into that with letting them choose their own activities and giving them the responsibility of, if you want this to happen, let's find the ways to make it. I like that.
Yep.
And I think that as they grow, that's a really good transition for them to make. So that was nice
Very,
to hear.
very age appropriate. They're very much ready for that opportunity to have a little freedom and to build that, continue to build that independence, you know, with a little bit more support at this level, so that when they go to middle school in the next few years, they're ready to be even more independent. So, yeah, absolutely.
I love the Battle of the Books.
I wrote that down too.
I really love that.
We stole that from our middle school. So,
Okay,
yeah.
it's awesome. What a cool way to get kids reading and then to work on comprehension, which is always, you know what I mean, something that
And they're
we
very
should be working on.
and they're very competitive.
Very
too.
competitive.
Yeah.
And we have a teacher team also.
Ooh.
A staff team.
Well, I think it's good, especially for teaching kids who aren't necessarily into athletics, to give them that competitive outlet as well, I think is great. So.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much. We appreciate hearing from you. You're right. They're beautiful buildings.
Thanks for having us. Travis Exine, building principal at Oak Ridge. I'll do introductions so they don't have to. Michelle Gapster is one of our teachers. She's going to talk briefly in a minute. I asked her to tell a phenomenal story that happened with her this year. She didn't say, I want to tell the board, so I asked her to do that. And then Janelle's going to finish up. Obviously, our topic is on teachers. Janelle's going to finish up with, so what's next year and beyond look like? We're talking about all of our devices and all the fun we've had with school this year. I first want to take an opportunity, since I've got it, just to thank all of our teachers this year for everything they've done. Every year has different challenges that go with it. This year with computers being new for most of our students, the derecho, obviously the pandemic, Schoology was kind of a new thing for everybody involved. I just want to thank them for everything they've done to weather all of that on top of the new school year. And then that subset of teachers that, as I put up here, taught both our online and on-site students simultaneously. Just a huge thank you. All the tasks that were really easy or just natural previously became really difficult or challenging as the school year has progressed. I think the biggest challenges I've heard from teachers is the engagement in kids. That's one of their goals, was trying to get kids more engaged, especially the ones that were online, and the connections. And the kid connection with the adult or the kid connection within each other was two things that I'd heard a lot about. And obviously, every kid at some point this year has been online. So we're talking about all of our students with those challenges, not just the ones that have been online since the beginning of the year and have not been in the buildings. Janelle and I, when we were in our break, that 2-week break where everybody was at home, we went into classrooms via Zoom, just as the teachers and students do, or did, and it was quite eye-opening. What I witnessed, what Janelle witnessed, was a class of 25 kids, 28 kids, majority with their screens off, so black boxes. A few kids with their my screen on, obviously, Janelle's on, and how the engagement was really a challenge. Teachers continued teaching and kept doing everything that was great. It was just really a difficult thing, and we both commented how exhausted we were after doing that for a day. I didn't plan anything. I didn't take attendance. I just sat in there, and it was still a challenging or a long day. And And we just both kind of recognize that. But again, to the teachers, who've done a phenomenal job to really go beyond those. One quick story talking about the engagement and connecting. I was in a math classroom within the past 2 weeks, and the teacher was doing a really engaging thing with students, and you may not see him engaging, but it was in the classroom. They all had their own little whiteboards and marker and eraser, and kids love doing that. She was having the students solve systems of equations. They'd write 2 equations down, solve it, and show the answer to the teacher. Teacher can very quickly look around and say, got it, got it, got it. Oop, I need to work with that kid, need to work with that kid. But the challenge is this year is we can't really do that because now we've got kids here. So she used the whiteboard app on the computer, and so the kids at home did the same thing, and she was able to look at what they were doing because they were writing on their own whiteboards, and she had a bunch of different screens going on. So that's one thing our teachers have done to engage everybody, not just those here with us, but those that are online as well. The best thing about that lesson, though, was at the very end, when she gave time for kids to do homework. And generally speaking, as a former math teacher, I get this too, is like, you've got about 5-7 minutes to do work. If you want to work together, go ahead. She asked her kids online, do any of you want to work with somebody? And one girl said yes. So she found a student in the classroom, put her in a breakout room. The girl got on headphones with a microphone, and they were talking back and forth, doing homework at a distance together. So a really cool connection story that I witnessed. I'm going to pass on to one of our teachers now, Michelle. Tell her a very fun story.
So like Travis said, I'm Michelle Gapstar. I've been one of Oak Ridge's Project Lead the Way teachers for the last 5 years. This has definitely been the hardest year of my teaching career, and something that I hope we never have to experience again, but I feel that along the way we've really learned a lot of ways to make this work for our students. Learning moments have come in a lot of forms for us this year. Some dramatic, as my flat tire incident was at the beginning of the year, and some much less dramatic than that. For those of you who had not heard, my tire blew out at the end of the S-curve on my way to school in September. I managed to make it to a parking lot off the Collins Road exit, and I ended up having to teach my first mod class from the Zoom app on my phone. It's a really fun story, but it's things like that that kind of helped us to figure out, like, what structures did we need to have in place to make this work for our students during this time. It hadn't yet dawned on us that you need to have a host to start the meetings for the students if teachers are gone. So that morning was a bit of a scramble. So I tried to send in not only seating charts, sub-plans, but also add extra Zoom hosts to my Zoom meetings so that class could happen. In the end, it was just easier to plug in some headphones and greet my students from the side of 380 and get class started that way. So that's how we made that happen. Now, if a teacher's gone, we don't have to scramble or Zoom from the side of the road. We have 4 alternate hosts that can start our meeting for us if we need to be gone. And our TICs and instructional coaches have been amazing for us, keeping the school running for us when teachers had to be absent throughout the year. Teachers have had to make a lot of adjustments as the year has progressed and recommendations changed. Classes like mine, where there's a lot of group work and project-based learning, have been really difficult. For labs, we had to double the amount of supplies that we ordered to make labs work at first. We also had to double the lab days to cover both hybrid A and hybrid B. For my online students, we had to find ways to get them involved. So I've been using document cameras so that way we can live stream the labs to those students. So I have students who are in class join the Zoom. We hook up a document camera so they can follow along, watch what happens in the labs, and then ask questions and participate that way. I also use a lot of Zoom breakout rooms, kind of like what Travis was mentioning, to kind of help involve the students and find ways that way they can have group work no matter where their location happens to be. For robotics class, initially we couldn't have the students build because of the hybrid schedule and then also the social distancing requirements. So we had to utilize 3D CAD models of gear trains, some virtual robots so they could program from wherever they were located. Once hybrid ended, we decided to have the students in person build again, which has been amazing. The virtual students have continued with the 3D CAD program simulations and the virtual robots. But what that means is I have to plan and monitor 2 separate activities for each of my 8th grade classes. And the activities that they're doing are different, but we're still covering the same content. They're still being assessed on the same standards. We just have to do it a little bit differently depending on where they're located. I know that I am not alone in the struggles and challenges that we've faced this year. We have had to radically changed how we teach in every single class. We've had to be tech support, emotional support, and we've been masters at teaching to that mostly silent wall of black Zoom screens. But we've kind of come together and worked together to support each other to find a way to make this work for our students.
Hi, I'm Janelle Miller, Oak Ridge Associate Principal. There were a lot of challenges, but through that, and mind you, I do want to point out, all those challenges hit on day one, and they had to address every single one of them from day one. I think that was a huge learning curve. But learning they did, they embraced it. Some of the successes that I feel like they came away with, which is what we're going to put forward next year in planning, is they are all now tech experts. They've never wanted to be and never intended to be most of these things, but they are. Online teaching and learning, so they know how to teach online and in person. They've learned varied websites, apps, jargon. Team chats are still a challenge at the middle level, but we're working through that. Tech support and troubleshooting, most of them can do it on their own, believe it or not. They have come such a long ways. Viruses and germs and how they spread and how that can change daily. And how to reassure themselves and the students about those things and the safety protocols. How to work through the aftermath of a natural disaster that happened in their own yard. All this hit at the same time. How to answer questions about nationwide unrest in the headlines almost daily. And let's put in there with all that these are middle-level age students who have their own social, emotional, and developmental changes they're going through. So it was not a piece of cake, but every single one of our stellar teachers, like Michelle, stepped up. So we're pretty proud of them. Because of that, I think they're better prepared to plan for next year. They have all this under their belt. Now they can embrace the technology and find ways to integrate it where it enhances their instruction, where it engages the students. But they are, I think, all breathing a sigh of relief, as we are, that they're all going to be back in their seats, or at least the majority. Because at middle level, we have got to engage them and get them to trust us before they're going to learn anyway. So I think we're excited for next year. I think they're going to take on any challenge after this year. They're going to be so proud of themselves, I think, because we're very proud of them.
Good afternoon, everybody. John Christian, building principal at Excelsior, and I've got Stephen Starkey, my associate principal. Before we move on to our slides, I would echo Michelle, Janelle, and Travis too. The staff, I'll say Excelsior and Oak Ridge, and not taken away from anybody else, any other levels, but I think the 7th and 8th teachers have worked their tails off this year, just like they all have. But what we've asked our 7th and 8th grade teachers to do with the dual platform has been amazing. And so Janelle said it best, and I'll stop there. They will be stronger for it going into next year. Now, if we ever said we'd have to do this again, we'd probably be choked to the ground, but they will be stronger for all kinds of avenues of it. So I'm very proud of the staff on that, too. And thank you for those that came to the board visit at Excelsior. I really appreciate you guys got to see and be in that room and see how they taught, not only to virtual, but also to the in-seat, whether it's 15 and 15 or 20 and 5. That was difficult to do, but we'll move on to that since we did such a good job of collaborating, Excelsior and Oak Ridge, and so everything that they did, we were all on the same page. We wanted to share a little bit for the next 5 minutes on, we were excited to hear that we were honored with our Banner Plus designation from the Department of Ed, and we are proud of that. We've been awarded Banner before in the last 3 years in a row. But to get to Banner Plus, we were super excited. And so with that, Stephen and I just kind of want to talk a little bit, because I've had parents that have, in chat, talking with them, said, oh, congratulations, hey, how do you get that? What do you do for that? And I thought, I kept getting that phone call, in person, talk face-to-face, and I said, you know, that's great. So not only for you and the audience or whoever, we want to share a little bit of, what does it take to be 15 schools in the state of Iowa, and I'm very proud of the staff. And when I say staff, I'm going all the way to custodians, associates, and nutrition, because it takes the whole building. And we're on year 7 of PBIS. And I think the biggest challenge when I say that is it's tough to not plateau or to fall off. And so what we want to share today real quick is get away from maybe the thinking of PBIS is the token or the point or the slip of paper for picking up a piece of paper or trash or bringing a pencil to class. Is it that in some aspects? Absolutely. Acknowledging kids that do everything we ask them to do every day, that's extremely important. So don't get me wrong on that. But there's so many different levels or peels or whatever that PBIS does. And we're going to show that to you a little bit here now, that it goes to helping kids that maybe the universal tier 1 doesn't cover all those kids. That doesn't work for them. This is what we get to Banner Plus. That's how we have to get that and meet those needs. So Stephen's going to share a little bit of the do's and the don'ts and what we need to do, and then some great data for all of us.
Thank you, John. Stephen Starkey, Associate Principal. So just like he said, I'll reiterate, the Tier 1 is the explicit teaching of expectations in all locations and the rewarding and recognizing students for meeting that. And that meets the needs of probably 85% of our student body, right? It's very explicit, it's clear, we encourage, we reward. All of that is phenomenal. But that is kind of where most people stop when they think PBIS. And really, the nuts and bolts of what makes it successful is the Tier 2 portion. That's where we dig in. As you guys see there, Tier 2, a couple things are listed. Our check-in, check-out with modifications, and SAGE groups. Those are our systematic supports where we determine here's our students that aren't being successful with just that Tier 1. Here's our system for identifying students and recognizing and getting those interventions in place very quickly. And so to get the Banner Plus recognition, that's where the plus comes in when we have the data to support to show 70% or more of those students are now being successful as a result of those Tier 2 interventions. And that helps us then, as you see here, these are what they look for in yearly outcomes. Going year to year to year, are we seeing decreases in bullying referrals, behavioral referrals, increases in attendance? And the big one as we talk about Tier 2, that really helps with then the decrease in referrals for special education, because we're able to get these kids the appropriate interventions in place long before that is necessary. This right here, they look at our data for 2 years. That's what the DE looks at. Show us your last 2 years. But I want to show you guys our data because we look way beyond 2 years and to show that we're not plateauing. Oh, of course. All right. Bear with me, maybe. I'll just talk about it. You guys have the link because I don't want to take 2 minutes to sign in. I'll get that pulled up here shortly. But what you'll see is Excelsior's graphs. For our major referrals, our enrollment slowly climbs. Our major referrals pretty rapidly declines over the same time. And our founded bullying referrals really continues to decline. So those are a couple of those pillars that we're not looking at just a small decrease over 2 years. We're looking at the entire implementation of our PBIS system over the 7 years, continuing to show improvements year after year after year. Our founded bullying referrals, our data's for last year, and so it was only 3/4-ish of a year, but we were down to 4 founded bullying referrals in that amount of time, where we used to be up in the 50s or 60s, easily. And so we're talking huge drastic growth in those areas, and it's something that, like John said, it's a testament to all of our staff. It's not something that we're doing behind the scenes. It is systematic. Every teacher's on board. We review that data. That's also in here. We review that data with the teachers on a weekly basis. We review that data with the students in the interventions on a daily basis. And we really dig in deep and look systematically at it at least monthly to see if it's being appropriate and successful. So please look at the data once I were able to get that pulled up for everybody to see. So you should be able to click on it with Linn-Mar accounts and see that data for yourself. So look at that because we're really proud of it.
And board members, I'll take that data and put it right in the memo so you don't even follow the link. It'll be right there for you to see it because it is really impressive data. So I want to make sure you have it easily. So.
And it's nothing better than celebrating not only with your staff or with your students, just with our high reliability schools. Celebrations is a big tier 1 of that, or level 1. So, of course, we appreciate Shannon and Nathan and Christy and many others that we can make it down to, and of course, once in a while we get a little ornery, but we're also middle school too, so that's the big part. So thanks for letting us kind of brag a little bit and share the good works of the building. And I'll take the pause.
If you mention ice cream, we come running at the LRC.
Food is usually motivated.
So this is the opportunity if there's any questions, comments, clarifications. Moment of pause.
I'd like to say something about the PBIS. I'm just really impressed with that. I was thinking back to being in school myself and just trying to remember if there was a real conversation happening surrounding some of those things, in particular bullying. And, you know, I always tell anybody, when the conversation comes up, you couldn't pay me $1 million to go back to middle school ever again. Being a middle school girl was not fun. But I just think when I see you guys talk about that, gosh, I'm just so glad that it's becoming a place that the adults in the room are recognizing that it can really change the way kids experience school. And you know, it must be a much more inviting place these days, even as a middle school girl. So that was just really nice to hear about, and good job, everybody.
Yeah, I'll second that. Middle school was not fun for me either, and I think that's the hardest level. So the fact that you're finding so much success and you've got such a great core group working towards, I just think it's great. And the kids all look happy in photos. So.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, Erica's not done yet.
Oh.
We have a bonus couple of information pieces from Erica as
Really?
well. Yes.
Okay.
The bonus. The one nice thing, though, that I will say about the group of people that I work with behind me is what makes it so wonderful is that they all love the middle level, and I think their love of kind of what they do every day and the kids and families that they serve, that's what makes it great. So thank you to all of them and their staffs. So I'm just going to talk a little bit. You heard kind of some of the challenges that have happened. And so one of the things that comes with challenge is you can take it as challenge and try to put it behind you and move forward, or you can look at it as an opportunity to gain some knowledge and to make some change. And so kind of as we're starting to think forward, and as we're starting to think about what can we learn from this experience, this framework kind of came to me. It's the rsa.org approach. The way that so this is kind of the filter of how it has come to here, is actually I was working with my coaches, my instructional coaches, and one of them had mentioned that the person that they work with adaptive schools had mentioned this to them. And so then they brought it to that meeting. Well, then I brought it to my teaching and learning committee meeting, and we talked a little bit about just as we're thinking about next year, how can we reflect on that and make some positive change. And so then Christy Hicks and myself were volunteered, I guess, to share it with the admin team at our last leadership meeting. And the purpose of that is really for us to, I think, start to think about, as a district, what is our reflection on this past year? And so in this process of change, what they want you to start to think about how can you deal with whatever the situation was, and then what can you take from that in the short term, but then also in the long term. And so we started to think about kind of these 4 quadrants of what are some of the things that we've had to change and do differently that were temporary because of the pandemic? What are some things then that we've changed that have gone really well that maybe we want to amplify and move forward? Are there some things that we've had to let go of that now as we look back, we can continue to let go of? And so are there some things that we want to end within our practice? And then are there some things that we maybe temporarily had to end, but as we think about, those are things that we've missed and we really need to restart and move forward again. So what we ended up doing, here it is a little bit bigger too, is just we kind of tasked then the leadership team to sit and reflect on this a little bit and think about within their own levels and within their own buildings, what are some of those temporary measures that they've put into place? What are some things that they've ended? And what are some things maybe that they've started and they want to continue? And what are some things maybe they started that they aren't going to continue? And they had really good discussions. Sometimes when you plan an activity or you want some reflection, they came with their homework done, and they had some really good discussion about what happened. And then within their level, they had that conversation, and then we mixed the levels up and included also the directors that were at that meeting as well. And so kind of then thinking about what will be the next steps is really, we wrote down our thoughts. So they actually put some things down on paper that they've really thought about. What can we change and have look different in the future? What are some things we need to make sure we go back and restart? And what are some things maybe that can just end? And so we will continue to revisit those thoughts again at our next meeting. And then part of it is you can say those things or you can have those thoughts, but then they get forgotten unless you really create a plan of action. And so kind of those next steps will be, how do you create the capacity for those changes? And then how do you start to put an action plan in place for change? And then part of that is the communication that needs to happen. So depending on the types of change, it might be a building communication, it might be district communication. I don't know if it'll be board communication, but the communication about what that change may be or what that change could be. And then kind of with any cycle of change, you reassess, you revise, and then, or stay the course and then repeat. And so part of that is just still the unknown of what will be the situation of the pandemic as we come back in the fall. There's some predictions that we can make now, but then the reality of what will really happen and what will we be able to do or not do as we enter students back in next fall. But again, echoing kind of what you heard, there were lots of things that happened, lots of things that had to happen and things that happened very quickly. But the learning that has taken place, the things that educators were able to step up and do, the things that our students were able to step up and do, like I think we put the bar really high and the students showed they can do that as well as the staff. And so to not reflect on that and move some of those practices forward would be a loss for us. So that's it.
I love that. I really do. That's really impressive, and I'm glad you guys are doing that. I'm also glad that in this crazy year that maybe there will be some, real positive things that come out of it.
Yeah, I would agree. It would be really easy to just, after this past year, to just say, okay, we're done. And then to just, let's start what we're used to, but to reflect on everything that you've been through and to take the positives out and say, how can we keep this going? I would hope that every building in our district is doing the same thing, because that is exactly like find the grains of goodness in the chaos that we've experienced in the last year and move forward with those. And I think that's fantastic.
And what a way to show our students like that growth mindset. What a way to model that growth mindset for our students by saying, like, even in this terrible thing, there will be good things that come out of it, and we can learn from it.
And that activity Erica described was done with all the principals at all levels. So yes, that's more of a district initiative that started at the middle level and was spread beyond. And we've all talked about that from time to time this last 13 months, that we knew good things would come out of this messy year. But then it's easy, like Erica said, if you don't take action, put a plan together, things fall to the wayside when you come back to normal again. So this is a good process for us to try to make sure we don't overlook things or get things moving fast. We'll start next year before we had a chance to really reflect, revise, and adapt. And there are definitely some things we've done this year that we will not be doing again. There are definitely some things this year that we'll want to continue to do again, and we really need to clarify that. So, yeah. So those will be the fun pieces to figure out too. So that was kind of a bonus piece of what I tried to add on at the end, because that's such an important part of not just the work you've heard today and tonight that's happened all year, but where we're going to go the next steps as well. So.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All of you. Okay, while they're exiting, we'll go ahead with Finance Audit Committee. Board members, if you'd like to make some statements and or refer to JT questions.
No, go ahead. Sure. I was just going to mention the nutrition fund and that the USDA program got extended, so that's a good thing for our program. It's going to go through the entire next academic year. So that'll be good for our nutrition fund. That was my one note to remember to say. So go ahead, Barry.
One thought, I was going to mention that as well. We're coming up, JT's talking about some bond refinancing. That's a huge positive from an interest standpoint. Yep. So that'll be coming forward. And then we talked quite a bit about, or didn't talk about it, but I was intrigued by the amount of money we received for pandemic support. I think it was around 7.5 or 7.3 or something like that.
What was that, Barry?
Pandemic support from the state and from the federal.
Okay.
About 4 rounds of different funding is all added up to the amount to what he's referencing there.
Right.
So, yep.
There's still a possibility of getting approval for an activities fund transfer, which, we've talked about that a lot this year, that they got hit pretty hard, so there may be some rescue in the future, maybe. Tim, did we miss anything?
I think we're good.
All right. I think we can move on then. Barry, you were doing the city council.
Absolutely nothing that affects the schools. So.
Okay. That's fine. Next, we have our legislative update.
Britt or Tim, you want to go first, or you want me to?
Go ahead, Britt.
Oh, okay. We did put together another update. It's on the table, just kind of what's still alive, and then what's passed and sitting on the governor's desk. I just summarized. One new one, bring your attention to the second one on the list, that House File 847. That's a bunch of school choice and flexible programming, but some amendments were added that are super fun, and they're listed right there. Some of them are actually somewhat good, like makes the governing board of the charter school subject to open records law, or requires the chief administrator to have authorization from the BOE. And then some of them are questionable, like the first bullet there about principals being allowed to relieve mask mandates and not going through the district policy. So there's also the fifth bullet, place limits on the number of charter schools that can be opened based on student populations and geographic areas. Only one charter would be allowed in a geographic area with 10,000 public and private school students already in that area. Doesn't define what a geographic area is.
I was just going to ask that.
But it definitely, it's really good for rural communities, not so good for urban. But
I would say the three of us had a conversation with Charlie McClintock, who has a little piece of Linn-Mar, and so it's a good introductory discussion. But I think Shannon outlined in the memo, his wife's a teacher at Alburnett, so he understands education somewhat. At least he's got a wife that does, so that's good. So it was a good conversation, good to get to know him, and I think we'll continue to have those conversations. So.
Yeah, he did tell us that he ran on a semi-education platform as pro-education, so he's going to reach out to Shannon on certain issues when he wants opinions or just more information on how it impacts districts. But that was a good connection for us to make, because we didn't realize, I don't think before a couple months ago, that he was even part of he has a corner. Charlie McClintock?
I'll call it northern Linn County, maybe? Okay. Alburnett.
A little bit of north of County Home Road, just a small.
Yeah, it would be like the rural part of our district north of County Home Road. So that was a really good conversation, I thought.
Yeah. The other thing I would add just kind of goes along with what Britt was saying too, that a couple of the amendments we're seeing pop up now are definitely things we want to keep an eye on. The relatively quiet week last week in Des Moines, that's good or bad depending on how you're looking at it, because a lot of things are happening behind the scenes and then popping up as amendments to bills that we thought were no longer concerns. So we'll have to keep a real close eye on this week, because this is scheduled to be the last week of the legislative session. It may get extended, but their per diem ends Friday, I believe. So that's typically when they'll try to wrap things up. So you may get a scurrying text or phone call from one of us to say, we need to act on something like this pretty quickly. So just stay tuned if that happens.
And I don't think they've made any progress since Friday on Pearl. I think it's still sitting out there. They haven't done anything with that levy either. So.
Yeah, last I had seen no other update there.
I couldn't find anything on it, so I didn't put it on the sheet.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just a real quick question about this. I'm not sure from like looking at this, if these are bills that are, you know, good for the district or not good for the district. I know we saw it, I mean, I can read a couple of these and know, you know, off the top, but some of these are, you know what I mean, give a little less information. If you could maybe highlight ones, you know what I mean, just to distinguish between bills that we need to be advocating for versus bills we need to,
Yeah,
you know
we can
what I mean?
definitely do that.
Okay, that would be great.
I was just trying to be more informational and less position because, you know, I just wanted
Right.
us to be aware of education bills.
Right, I do,
But
I
I
totally
appreciate
get it.
that.
It's just sometimes, you know, right here, moving money from general fund to student activity fund. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's not a good thing. So, you know what I mean?
we
Like,
can do
it
that.
depends on the circumstances and.
And you're right, I think Britt's right too. We're trying not to get into being political, because some of this is which way you lean. A lot of it is clear cut, and maybe we should, the clear cut stuff, just kind of say that now.
Well, I mean, I feel like, you know, and I've said this to Bert before, this is sort of like an inherently political thing, you know what I mean? Like, that we're bringing kind of in this space, I mean, so we're either doing it
Yeah,
or we're
you're
not
right,
doing it.
you're
If
right.
we're doing it, just, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, we can be more mindful of that when we do
Yeah.
because, no, I appreciate that. Like, if you want to know from, and Shannon can definitely help that way. It's not just my
Right.
opinion. What would this do for the district? And always
Right.
come at it from the district perspective of.
Right, which is what I assume you
Yep.
guys are doing anyway, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes,
But,
and that's why we only sent letters on like 2 bills.
right.
Like, we
right.
all have opinions, but we're not sending communication on
Right.
everything.
Right.
We're just saying which ones would hurt the district and which ones do we need to speak out in support of, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have kind of our own funnel process. We try to take all the things that
Yeah.
are out there, funnel it
Yeah.
down to a list like this of information, and my memo is a little more narrow
Right.
on a few key things there as well. Because you're right, it is some of these are very obvious which way we
Yes.
would stand, and others are a little more gray. So
Right.
those areas that are gray, we can try to provide some more clarity.
Yeah, exactly. That would be great.
I just want to say how much I've appreciated you working together to do this for us. It's a kind of a new thing on the board, and I think it's awesome. So thank you both for being involved, and Shannon.
Hopefully 1 more week and.
Yeah, and then you
We'll have to
no
talk about it
more.
for a little while.
And then we can
Move
put a
on.
pin in this all, because anything that doesn't pass is still on the agenda for next year, because it's a 2-year session cycle. So anything that doesn't, it's dead for this year, it'll easily come back next
We
year.
can start influencing.
But yes, we have a much better idea of where we should start next fall with conversations before session
That's
starts.
great.
I thought they were going to extend this for a week or two.
Well, that may happen.
It may, but as of today, they're still planning on being done on Friday.
Sorry, I just thought I'd ask.
I think too, it feels more like I've said this before, you know, we've done the legislative day where we go down to Des Moines, and I honestly don't often feel like it's doing much, you know, I'm there, and, you know, they have their kind of, you know, obligatory come down to greet us and all of that, but this feels more like you guys are making more personal connections with people, that you can make little inroads. I don't know, it just feels a little bit more like doing something.
Well, and that was something that Representative McClintock said, is that that the communications do make a difference. He said that was why in the House the vouchers never made it to the floor, because they got so many communications about that, and that they do, most do listen to their
Right.
districts.
That's
So
good to know.
that was nice to hear, because otherwise
good
it's
to
a lot
know.
of work to just send out letters that are
Absolutely.
never read, but
Yeah.
no, it was good.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you for your work.
Yes. On to our cabinet update.
Yeah, brief update for you this time. This is the first week of used to be the Iowa Test of Basic Skills, and then it was Iowa Assessments, and now it's ISASP for testing as well. So this is the first day of the first week for our K-8 students, well, 2nd grade, 3rd grade through 8th grade students taking those assessments. So always have a big week, but this year especially because it's all done online this year, which is different for some of our grade levels. And our students that are in the online testing in 3rd through 8th grade are taking those as well, but they have to come on site to do it. So challenging in a lot of ways with a whole new assessment, not taking it last year, and then having to have the online students come in to take it on site has been challenging too. So just wanted you to be aware of all the additional things you heard from our middle school staff tonight about challenges they face. This is one more new thing, one more unique challenge that our teachers, administrators, and counselors, especially in this area, have really done a nice job organizing and our tech department as well, because this has not been easy any step of the way. High school's already completed it a couple weeks ago. We worked out a lot of kinks then and learned a lot of things, and then today learning even more. So just wanted you to be aware of that. The end result of that, we are obviously excited to get any of our spring assessment results back every year, but this year especially, it'll be really interesting to see how do things look for all of our students in this unique year and after last year as well. Really excited to see what that data looks like. So process-wise, it's a little messy, but I think overall things have gone about as well as we could have hoped to begin with. So it's kind of an exciting week. I think it's a week Nathan and our counselors and a lot of our teachers will be glad to see checked off in the books. So we can move on to other areas too, but just it'll be a good data to get back. I shared this with you as far as in a memo, but in case you haven't seen that yet. Changing our structure, a little bit of how we're going to do YouTube for our future board meetings this summer. We will still be recording them live. we'll be recording them during the meeting, but we will not be showing them live in the summertime. Just for staffing issues, and if you saw the numbers in the memo as well, our numbers of people watching them on the recorded version has still been very solid. I think we still had 490 online views last week for that last time as well, but our people watching live right now has really decreased. So at least for the summertime, we will be still recording it, post it the next morning so people can watch it anytime they want to at their leisure. And we're also noticing people are not watching the whole meeting necessarily. They might be fast forwarding to a part that pertains to them only, which I can't believe they don't want to watch the whole thing. But we'll assume they're just busy. So just wanted to be aware of that. I'll make sure the audience is aware of that. We'll put more information out as we approach that summertime mode too. But as we talked earlier, what things have we learned this year that we want to continue? What things have we learned that we don't want to continue? This is one that we weren't recording meetings in the past before this. So this is one we'll have to talk about the board going forward. Which of those 4 categories, the boxes that Erica showed, where does this fit in that conversation too? So definitely been a good thing, I think, in a lot of ways, because our engagement's been very high, especially at those times where we have topics of interest to people. So that's been good. And then the final thing, just a quick thank you to board members. Not just for all the work you've done this year, school board recognition, but appreciate our conversations the last several weeks, meeting with each of you individually, really trying to prioritize where are we going to go after we come out of this COVID unique year, what are our priorities going forward. I shared some priorities with you and then got your feedback as well. Heard a lot of good comments there and heard a lot of consistency there as well too. So I'm excited that as we start to plan our facilities, get that facility advisory committee up and running is definitely one area. Really getting back to the academics and analyzing our student learning data this spring and then looking ahead to next year. Really getting back to the way we do things at Linn-Mar. And a lot of those learning focus areas will be really fun work to get into too. And then kind of staying with that learning focus, the third one we've talked about is continuing board learning. What have we learned from all of this process? Where do we go next? Whether it's through IASB or national conventions or work sessions for us to continue to learn too. So appreciate your feedback on those 3 areas that I shared and other ideas of things we can continue to grow on as well. So those conversations were very helpful for me. I hope they were for you as well as we talk about next steps and kind of summarize our plans going forward too. So at next meeting, we'll set some time aside to talk specifically on facilities, one of those areas. Before our facility advisory committee meets on May 17th. Board has one more meeting on the 10th that we'll kind of review the plans for that meeting, give you an update, and then get some feedback for you as well before we jump into that. So that'll be our next priority area. So questions you have for me? All right. You know how to reach me if you do.
Okay. All right. On to new business.
Make a motion to hold a public hearing on the fiscal year 2021 amended certified budget at 5 p.m. on Monday, May 10th, 2021.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Does JT need to kind of explain exactly what we're...
Yeah, I sure can real quick.
Okay.
This is an amendment for our current year budget, which was certified kind of before the pandemic really started. We put that together. So on this amendment is just to kind of recognize some of the additional expenditures related to COVID. So we're adjusting the total support services line item by a couple $1 million just to cover us from a budget standpoint this year.
Okay. Anything else? So all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes.
Make a motion to approve the open enrollment requests as presented.
Second. Okay, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Take a look at it real quick, make sure there's anyone that, the one thing I would like to do is, John Harms I worked with for years, and he's retiring. We have lots of people, Nancy, Manders, Sean, Sandfield, and then other employment, Erin Watts. Erin's been with us for a long time, and you saw her honor today. Want to wish her well. And Chelsea Engelbert, I believe I pronounced it right. We see you are resigning, and we wish you the best. Is there anyone that would like to say any more? Not seeing any, then I would say all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that's okay. We're over to board communications and calendar. Let's see. Highlighting, we have May 4th, there are the 2 ceremonies for the Lion Awards. And then May 6th, it looks like, Tim, you're in charge of the
Yes.
City Council. All right. Board meeting again the 10th. And right after that is the senior recognition night. That's at the high school. Are they going to do that in person then, not
Yes.
virtual? Okay, I thought so, but I just wanted to.
Yep, that is correct.
So do you need to call ahead to say you're coming, or can it be one of those things we can just go?
You can just go, as
Okay.
board members, yep.
I wanted to make sure, because I didn't know if they were allotting so many people. It's just clarification. Okay, thank you so much. And then we have the Success Center graduation on May 14th, it looks like. Facilities, we already talked about. And soda luncheon, there again, is that something that we would go to? Is that just, you're just more
That one
of
is still kind of
information?
evolving as well, so right now, so just hang on for the soda
Okay, 'cause
try
I know
luncheon.
that's-
It's-
What that
usually
is
Clark
that
goes.
usually happened in December. Remember, we have our illustrious Santa and JT and everybody else that were all dressed up. But due to where the district was in regards to the coronavirus, it was postponed to this. And to be quite honest, received a call from Kevin McCauley this afternoon, and the soda and Tri-8 awards that they usually hold at Indian Creek is because there's so many that would be involved in that, and as well as the mayor and other dignitaries, they are going to add that to the senior recognition night. So, sad, because it was really special for just those Marion and Linn-Mar groups of students that were involved in that. Now it's going to be thrown in, but it was the COVID thing, and that's what made the decision for that.
So that will be a part
That
of it?
that one will be added to senior recognition night.
That'll be integrated into the senior recognition night instead of the Rotary luncheon that the Soda Tri students receive. That is separate from the luncheon, though, so those are 2 separate events.
Oh, okay, so that's
Yes.
still happening.
Yep, correct.
Okay, so the May 18th is still happening? Is that what you're saying? or
Yes,
is-
I don't know about the exact schedule and final
all right.
details of it yet, but yes, it is still
I
happening.
misunderstood. Okay.
That's part of the challenge, is trying to figure out how do we recognize and celebrate
Yeah.
things and still do it safely. So some things are taking a little bit longer to pull together, the details as we get closer to it. And that's the one I wanted to mention, as well as graduation. Everybody's aware we're planning to be at the Alliant Energy Powerhouse. It's going to take me forever to get used to saying that. The old U.S. Cell Center as well. So that is still scheduled for the regular time. A couple board members have asked about board member roles during that event. The logistics and details of that are still being figured out with the facility, because there's certain rules we have to follow and spacing too. So, and they're working with Linn County Public Health on different guidelines that the county is able to give them to. So I'd love to give you more specifics on that yet. We just don't have them yet. So hang tight on that. We'll get you more information to you on what that logistics will look like on stage and the process is. But we are excited that We're very confident we'll be able to pull that off with all students together and a chance to really celebrate that class all at once. So
That sounds good. Really, I mean, you guys can all read this, but the other change is Compass is now May 27th. Is that correct? Is that the
Correct.
one that changed? Okay. Instead of May 20th. That changed, just so you can mark that down. And says 4 p.m. at the park. That part's still the same. Okay, perfect. All right.
Sandra, I'll do that June 3rd city council meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I'll just put your name down here then. All righty. Looking at the rest, we'll hear more about graduation, I'm sure,
Yep.
and we'll go from there. Is there anyone that has anything they'd like to add or say?
On the ribbon cutting on June 2nd, are we going to split the board up or
That's a great question.
try a land speed record to go from one to the other?
We think we can pull off the land speed record without breaking any of the Marion speed laws. We know the city of Marion's known for.
I would imagine the city people will be the same, so they'll be making the same
So they'll
land
be
speed
making the
record.
The ribbon cutting we are literally estimating it'll take about 5 minutes at most. It'll probably take longer to get everybody set up than it will to actually do that. Keeping them very short for two reasons. One, because there's going to be open house going on at the same time. And two, the primary reason is trying to avoid a large gathering of people congregating around the ribbon cutting. So trying to do those pretty quick. It'll be very informal. We would like board members to be there for that part if you can, obviously, for the open house part. Be there. I think by 5:30, we'll be done by 5:35 from Boulder Peak and heading over to Hazel Point for the second one.
I was just wondering if we were supposed to be there since it's an open house, in case parents have comments, or is that just the administration at those two buildings are going to accept those? That's kind of what I was referring to.
And we did talk about that briefly as well. It's kind of the available piece. That's a good question. We have not clarified or finalized details on who and when and where our schedule for that yet. So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, I would say if we're at Boulder Peak at 5, then we'd have a good 20, 25 minutes before the river cutting, and then we'd go do the other one at Hazel Point, and then have some time between that and the 7 o'clock end. So we'd probably still have time to mingle if necessary at each place.
That's true. Okay. Anything else here? I think the rest of it is,
Move to adjourn?
all right. Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.